Hello, and welcome to Four Dudes Talking About U.S. History. This is Season 2, Episode 2. Today we will be talking about life during the Great Depression.
What's good?
Okay, so around this time in the 1930s, the Depression grew steadily worse during President Hoover's administration. And in 1930, roughly 1,352 banks suspended operations. That is almost that's double the number of the year before. And in 1932 alone, some 30,000 companies went out of business. And by 1933, roughly one-fourth of the workforce was unemployed.
Holy mama.
Jeez. And now, because of that, a lot of people were just struggling to get by. So you get a bunch of hobos, right? They're, people with no money, and they just wander around. And they just go around the country, usually in train boxcars. They would slip past the police and just hop in them. They'd travel all around the country. And around this time, you had a bunch of people, it led to a bunch of immigrants going back to their home countries. So then the U.S. was, shipping a lot of people out, illegal immigrants. But the main people that were targeted were the Mexicans and Hispanics. I don't know, historians, estimated somewhere between 500,000 and 2 million people of Mexican heritage were sent back to Mexico. And
Jeez.
About half of them were U.S. citizens. They just still shipped them out anyways.
Yo, it's kind of dusty in here. Kind of like the Dust Bowl in the 1920s.
Indeed it was. Let me tell you about it. The Dust Bowl happened in the 1920s, like you said, and it happened to the farmers before the Great Depression hit. And it kind of was just, it affected crop prices, it affected stuff like that, basically. But how it started was there was no rain back in the 1920s. Like the whole decade, just no rain. Kind of like how it was, 2 years ago for us?
Yep.
There was just no rain that whole year. And it was very dry, and it was very windy. So because it was so windy, the soil just went and flew away.
Ooh.
So that means all the crops flew away too. So since that happened, farmers lost a lot of money. And because they lost a lot of money, they couldn't pay for rent, and they couldn't pay for their house, more crops, their livestock. They couldn't pay for anything. And a couple of them even lost their house because the soil was so bad. And it kind of accelerated this this rapid erosion for the dirt with the Homestead Act. And since the Homestead Act, gave free land to anyone who lived there for 10 years, or was it 5 years, something like that. There were so many people moving here, and with the new inventions like tractors and combines, it just made it so much worse. And with topsoil, it was just bad news bears.
I have a quote for you guys from the Dust Bowl. This is by John Steinbeck. It's called The Harvest Gypsies, and it was written in 1936. They have one-room shacks, usually about 10 by 12 feet. They have no rug, no water, and no bed. In one corner, there's a little iron wood stove. Water must be carried from the faucet at the end of the street.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, Malachi, it shows how poor these farmers were because they weren't making any money off their crops.
So in the 1930s, since people were going through such hard times, they needed something to get their mind off all this.
Right.
So arts and entertainment exploded during the 1930s. So people would spend their last amounts of money to go see a movie or listen to the newest thing on the radio and stuff like that. And there was people like Walt Disney who revolutionized modern day cartoons. They were making candies more fun, like animal crackers and stuff. Just trying to get everyone's mind off the dark times and kind of make everything better. And there's also a new thing called soap operas. Can anyone tell me what those were?
Yeah. So soap operas were basically like dramatic shows or movies or things like that were broadcasted either on the TV or like over the radio. The reason they were called soap operas is because many of the sponsors for these shows and things like that were like laundry soap makers, so they became soap operas. And many of these movie sponsors or directors needed places to like film their movies and stuff.
So they all went to Los Angeles, California, and there's a very important reason that Hollywood is the city where like movies are filmed and stuff. It's because they have all types of climate. They have the mountains, and if you go high enough, there's snow. They have desert on the outskirts of Hollywood. They have beach. They have like any type of climate you're looking for, tropical. So that's why they moved there. And they would build these huge studios, and this made the movie's quality shoot through the roof. And nowadays, you can't even tell if something's a movie or if it's real life. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching episode 2 of season 2.
Yeah.
We will see you guys in the next one. It's been real.
It's been fun.
It hasn't been real fun.
Sayonara.